Welcome to Free Media. Hope you're watching on our brand new YouTube channel. That's Reason Free Media. Please subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I am Robbie Suave.
And I'm Amber Duke.
Well, in a recent announcement, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg stated that he is, quote, restoring free expression on his platforms, Facebook and Instagram, by removing fact checkers and content moderators. Let's watch.
There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US.
In addition to replacing fact checkers with community notes, Zuckerberg said Meta will implement policies that aim to reduce censorship and bring back politics and news in people's feeds, citing a cultural tipping point in last year's election.
So, well, here we are. I think this is a lot of pretty good news. I really appreciated the statement Mark Zuckerberg made, which goes into the rationale for a lot what happened. It seems like he gets it. What he says in this statement is that, look, after Trump won in 2016, we faced tons of pressure from the mainstream media to tackle this misinformation project, and also what we know from additional reporting I've done and you've done and people in our orbit have done. The government itself pressured Facebook particularly hard during COVID, but even on other subjects, to take down content they wanted taken down. Facebook went along with a lot of that and discovered what you often discover when you try to appease the federal government or you try to appease mainstream fact-checking organizations, is that no amount of censorship is good enough for them. He now concedes pretty openly that this was a mistake and they're not going to do it anymore.
I was very heartened by this statement, not just because of what he said in it, but the specific phrases that he used that made it seem like he really understands. I never in a million years thought that I would hear the CEO of Meta use the phrase legacy media.
Yes.
And yet here we are.
He's winking at us.
It's incredible. And he is talking about this fact-checking system that Facebook put into place, which was responsible for a lot of the censorship and driving conservative creators off of the platform, because Facebook was actually paying those fact-check outlets to attach flags to articles, which would then be pushed down people's news feeds. They would be deprioritized, and then the fact-checkers would basically threaten Facebook in turn that if they didn't do more censorship, they were going to attach more flags and create new categories for posts that should be delegitimized. And places like PolitiFact get at least, it could be a lot more, we only know at least because this is what has been made publicly available, 5% of their annual budget from Facebook paying them to go through these censorship programs. Getting rid of that entirely is going to be hugely detrimental to those groups, which is great because they incorrectly, falsely flag things as misinformation.
They absolutely did. They did that to us at Reason. They did it to John Stossel. They did it to an article I wrote that was just a summary of an Atlantic article about mass mandates in schools having not been shown to make a difference by this new study. It was not a very provocative claim. It was not a claim, I did not claim in the article, masks don't work, but that is what the fact check said I had claimed. We're taking this down. This is illicit content on Facebook because you've made the claim that masks don't work. And my response was, well, now you're introducing an error because you're saying something that does not appear in this post that I did not say. And, they have, because I'm someone of a platform, I was able to engage with them, and then, oops, we're wrong, oopsies, and they restored it. But think of the millions of people who don't have that same level of access to high-level Facebook comms people. So it's so good that they're scrapping that entirely. And those organizations can still try to fact check or try to say what you've said is wrong. They just have to compete in the marketplace of ideas like everybody else. We're going to move to a community notes style thing, which is what X has, which I think there is a lot of value in, where it is user curated and created. Most of the times I see a community note on X on a post, there is a lot of validity to the check that is providing on a tweet that has some error in it. And so I will be happy to see that. And I'll also be happy, honestly, to have a little bit of news back on Facebook. I don't know what your Facebook experience is like. Mine is just, is almost entirely, it's not even content from people I know. It's not even content from people. It seems, I don't know, AI generated or something like top 10 lists about entertainment properties I like, or little facts about like the Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, which it doesn't offend me. I like learning new things about those properties, but it is so divorced from what the function of Facebook was supposed to be.
No, my feed is totally bizarre. I don't even get things from family members. Like you said, it's random people who I happen to be friends with that I never interact with. And it's like, you subscribe to this post. No, I didn't. That's a lie. But I'm glad to see the fact check mafia be brought to its knees. And one of the other really key things that he said in this list of things that they're doing at Facebook to make it a more open platform was they're actually moving the headquarters to Texas, which is where it seems all of the pro-freedom companies are moving these days, not just to get away from the insane taxes in places like California and New York, but also because there's this cultural view towards entrepreneurship and imagination and free speech that is much more in line with the rest of America than it is in these coastal cities.
And unique to America. Mark Zuckerberg also calls out in his statement what EU regulators are trying to do. You know, we have to remember that the tech sector, social media platforms, and innovation in this important field more generally is possible in America, and America is leading it, in large part because of our overall regulatory scheme, and in particular, our protections for speech, which these tech companies have speech as such a critical part of their business that our robust First Amendment protections are so valuable. The EU, China, Brazil, Russia, India, you know, across the globe, all sorts of countries of all sorts of different ideologies often they persecute their innovators in these spaces, and I want America to continue being a leader on these important technologies because of our more favorable and freedom-inclined regulatory environment. Elon Musk clearly appreciates this. It is good to see that Mark Zuckerberg has come around to appreciating it more and more. And I wonder what you think about this. I saw some conservatives on X saying like, no forgiveness. You know, he did all these things wrong, and we can't, you know, just take him at face value. I'm like, look, I appreciate that, you know, a lot of the suppression that occurred was very bad, but when someone admits you were right, here's why we did this, but we were wrong, and now we're changing it and doing what you want, don't you have to, like, if you have any kind of social change model in your head, be like, okay, this is good?
I would also say, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
You replace Mark Zuckerberg with someone who isn't there yet. I mean, it's very unlikely you're going
Stay
to get
mad
someone.
forever.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, all things considered, this is one of the best possible outcomes. And one of the other things he hit on in that comment about the EU and places around the world that are really keen on censorship right now was he did hit America's government. He talked about this sort of cyclical relationship where because the US government had a hand in censorship, it sort of gave credence and encouragement to countries like the ones in the EU that were, you know, knocking on people's windows because they dared to like a post that they weren't supposed to like because it wasn't in line with the official narrative, and then vice versa, the US government looking at these other countries and saying, well, see, we're not as bad as them, so what we're doing is okay. And it's basically just created this entire global culture where every government is now on board with some form of censorship. And it was nice that he called out the American government for being part of that cartel.
Yeah, and for realizing that going along with this gets you nowhere, because there will never be enough. All right, we'll be back with more free media in just a minute. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our new channel. That channel is Reason Free Media. See you soon.